Good evening, YouTube. You know what? I should make like a video of every single time I come on camera for the first time and I say good evening, YouTube. That's what I should make. That would be just for my, I don't know. I don't know why I thought of that, but just for myself. Give me a second here. I hope everybody is doing well and navigating this very scary time in your life as best as you can. Not easy. Not easy. Not easy. Not easy at all. And I'll tell you, it is intentionally not easy so that you can become who you always were, who you always were meant to be. I've gone through, the bulk of my situation, definitely not the end. Definitely there is more to go for sure. I'm just proud of how far I've come. I want to first start off by saying whether it is a gang stalking experience or whether it's any hardship in life, I know it's tough in the beginning to be grateful, be thankful, because you can only think of the things that are not going right. But that is what you have to be. You have to be thankful no matter what you're seeing in front of you, no matter what you're experiencing. I spent the bulk of my time being predominantly thankful more than anything else. The bulk of my prayers being about just being grateful for a lot of what was going on. It's not that it wasn't hard, but I definitely know I haven't had it even, or sorry, it definitely wasn't easy, but I have not had it the easiest, or sorry, the worst of everyone. I definitely haven't. I hear other people's gang stalking stories. I hear other people's spiritual warfare stories, and I definitely know that it could be so much worse, so much worse. It was demonstrated to me in the very beginning, actually for the bulk of the entire, well, I knew that I had spiritual help. I think that was intentional because knowing that you have spiritual help, it gives you confidence. It's like if you're in a race and you have people cheering you on, even if you're tired, even if you want to stop, you kind of keep going because you know that people are kind of expecting it of you, or people are, I don't know, it's like, I guess it's like how sports teams are. Like, you don't want to disappoint your fans, you don't want to disappoint people that are cheering you on, people that are rooting for you. So knowing that regardless of being completely isolated, you have help that's cheering you on, that's pushing you forward, it makes a huge difference. It does. Even if it's just one, it makes a huge difference. Coming online, even if it's YouTube, and hearing the stories of other people, hopefully they're real TIs, because guys, I cannot stress that these people are not real TIs. Please. A lot of these people are not real TIs. These people just make content that they steal from other people so it sounds authentic because they've never been gang stalked. They don't know what it's like. They make fake content so that you can follow along, start believing in them, and then they start injecting nonsense in there to keep you stuck. Nobody comes with any tools to heal, tools to leave gang stalking, critical information, nothing. Pages like that do that, like mine, are buried. They're buried for engagement. Listen, for the kind of content that I make consistently, like I'm not making videos for likes or shares. It's not about that. I'm making videos jam-packed full of information that is going to get you through this ordeal. And the subscribes are low, the views are way lower than they should be. The shorts don't even talk about that. If you go see the inconsistency with my shorts, I have shorts that have like 5 likes, so, or not even likes, views. It's very bad. They hold back pages like mine, but they copy my content word for word without even having context. And I want to address, because in my community section I talked about this person I confronted about stealing one of my videos. I want to address that later on, because I want to clarify something, because it's dangerous to repeat things in the wrong context, because it's giving people false hope and the wrong ideas. So I do want to address that. But back to what I was saying. Coming online and just even having people who've been through the process come back and tell you, first of all, you're gonna get through it. You're gonna get through it. I don't care what they're talking about. I'm telling you, you're gonna get through it. Tricky, tough, grueling, but you can get through it. And that's all you really want to know, is that you can get through it. You can get through it. You're gonna get through it. And being very strategic about what your objectives are, having the right frame of mind, bracing yourself to go through any kind of rough experience, you're gonna get through it. So that is the first thing that I want to assure you of. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your situation is. You can get through it. There is a way to get through it. There is a formula. I feel like it can work for most people just because of the way gang stalking works. So that's one, and that's amazing news, and that's positive news, and not a lot of people are saying that. Number two, having people who are genuine, who genuinely went through this situation, cheer you on every day, speak life back into your body, give you hope, be a guiding light, and not be scared of a fight. Not be scared that the gang stalkers are going to come after them. Not be scared of what other people are going to do to them. You will see, is one of the greatest gifts that you can have right now. It's something that when I was going through mine, I was incredibly grateful for. There were particular people that were giving me advice on such a long-term basis that I know they were going through hell and back, and I could see what they were going through, and they kept up with it. And there were times I was like, okay, I gotta stop watching this person right now, because I gotta give them a break. Like, this is crazy. And so now I'm in the hot seat and it's my turn, and I am honored to do that. I am grateful to do that, because when I was going through the pressure of my situation, that's what I relied on. I relied on people like myself who could tolerate spell work on a daily basis being thrown at them, because they're waking people up, because they're helping people, because they're educating people, because they're giving people hope, because they are the light that raises somebody's spirits, because they are affirming the things that you're saying. They are saying, yes, you're right. Yes, you're being gang stalked. Yes, this is real. I went through it as well. This is what's actually happening, because you're confused, because they're throwing stones and hiding their hands. They're not even telling you what the issue is, because it's not meant to resolve issues. It's meant to punish you. It's meant to destroy your life. So affirming to you that you're not crazy, and that helps you not feel like you're going crazy, because there are places that you can come to on the internet. Yes, there are places that, like, there's content that you could listen to online, and though accurate, depressing, accurate and depressing. You don't feel the greatest coming out of there. You feel triggered, you feel more upset, etc., etc. And then there are pages that you go to and you're excited when they come on live. You're excited when they come online because you're like, you know what? If I get for nothing from here, I'm gonna feel hopeful. I'm gonna feel in a good mood. I'm gonna feel like I can push forward. And I feel like although you always want to be the source of your own hope and the source of your own light, this is a special circumstance where if you can depend on the genuine light of somebody else, you need it right now. You really do. Find a way to be grateful. It is the beginning of healing, because no matter how bad your situation is, in every situation, there are still things to be grateful for. Make peace with whatever left, whatever you lost. It's okay, it's fine. You're gonna get that back plus more. Some people have lost a lot here. I was reading a comment and a guy said he lost 7 rental properties, an excavation company, a whole bunch of like equipment, and just like he was listing things as on and on and on and on. It was like, wow, they took his life's work. And he didn't say his age, but it's like, if I were to guess, there's probably someone in their 50s up. Like 7 rental properties, an excavation company, all of this, like, yeah, I would definitely, like, what I felt in my heart, like at least 47 up. And that is something that is probably heartbreaking, because sometimes people think, first of all, 47 is not that old, but sometimes I feel like people feel like it took so long to get there, that with all of this on their back that's still continuing, it's almost like, in a situation like that, you're like, what is even the point of trying again? First of all, 47 is young. If you're gonna live to 80, then you have a long time to go. You have like 33 years left. But that's the first time you did it. Like the first time you did all of this, it took, let's say, 20 years. Because you had to go through trial and error with everything. You had to walk yourself through it. You had to learn on the ground. Now that you're an expert on getting mortgages, an expert on buying property, an expert who knows how to put together a company, how to hire people, where to get the equipment, where to get the licensing. It's gonna take you a year or two to put the company, to put the company together. It's gonna be like that. Like everything you need to know, you already know. It's a matter of implementation. You are in a very favorable situation. You're in a much favorable situation, much more than someone who's in their 20s, who doesn't know a damn thing, who could literally have the money and waste it because they don't know what loopholes to avoid. I really want to impress that, because I noticed that a lot of people being gang stalked are older people. And I feel like there is that, if it were me and I'm thinking about rebuilding and I have this problem, and every single time I start, they're trying to make me stop. Yeah, I would need to hear that. I want to talk more right now about rebuilding and navigating your mind more than anything else. I feel like we've gone past a lot of the material about what is gang stalking, what are they doing, what are they doing spiritually, although we're always going to come back and talk to that about that, because that's very important. But getting to the part about being grateful, let me tell you, and I say this all the time, don't tempt fate. You have to look at it like, everything I'm grateful for today is what I want to keep today. The roof over my head, the fact that I still have food, the fact that I still know at least where my next meal is coming from. Life can always be worse. I've been through gang stalking. Yes, horrible. Yes, nobody's coming to help, but police aren't hunting you down. You're not wanted. You're not wanted by people who actually would unalive you. People who actually would kidnap you and things like of that nature. Like it's not, at least not that bad. And you must remember that there are people who it's that bad. Like there are certain times I sit and I think to myself, and I used to think this often, where I used to think to myself, like, because a lot of my clients in my customers, not clients, sorry, my customers in my business when we were like brick and mortar, they were girls who were like urban girls and like, you know, like hip hop girls and whatever. I sound terrible saying that. I don't mean that in any way, but these are girls who would date people who are in some sort of like drug lifestyle. So I became familiar with hearing about that. And I used to think to myself, like, how much are these people making? Like, how much are these guys actually making that this lifestyle is worth it? Because, like, maybe I'm just thinking from a different mindset, but I'm thinking to myself, and like, the club got shot. And I'm just like, can you imagine going out to enjoy yourself and thinking that somebody's looking for you to be a part of your regular life and still going to the club if that's a part of the reality of your life? This is how much you've acclimatized to this idea. If they can do that, you can acclimatize to your situation. If these people can accept that that is just part of their life, that they constantly have to watch their back from people who are that serious, that crazy, it's easy to accept, easier to accept what's going on with you. And that's how I used to look at it. I used to compare that to what I was going through, and I was like, you know what? If I kind of compare it on that, you know, from that perspective, even though people are hounding me and they're stressing me out and etc., it's like, it's a little easier to accept. Not what you want to accept, definitely not the kind of situation you want to compare your situation to, but you have to find a way your situation as a cup half full. I talk about in previous videos, if you were at war, the reality that any day you might not wake up, the reality that anything can go wrong at any time, it makes it a little bit easier to accept that this is not the end of the world. And you are not in this situation to stay. So I really would like people to adjust their mindsets to realize that you are not here forever. Please do not think that. You must have a mindset every single day that this can end at any time, and you're willing it, wishing it, praying it, that it is going to be sooner rather than later. Every single day. That is part of your prayer. It is part of your hope. It is a dream that you hold on to. It is a goal that you work towards, and you keep doing that. You keep holding faith for that. Eventually, it will happen. It will. The whole point of this is to make you suffer, is to, I don't even want to say teach you a lesson. Like, I mean, it seems to me when people are gang stalked, like they want to take your life without touching you. So I wouldn't even say they just want to teach you a lesson or make you suffer. I wouldn't say that. The way they do this very aggressively. But you have to be very strategic. You have to be very strategic. When you start your day with gratitude, when you go to bed with gratitude, you go to bed with happiness, which means that you rest easier. You wake up in that same vibration, that same feeling of gratitude. You wake up in that same feeling. So you start your day with the same feeling. And you have to work towards desensitizing yourself every single day to all of the things that are triggering you. And the things that they choose to trigger you with are things that they know are going to get under your skin. because they've studied you enough. They've looked into your past. They've done a whole ton of research. You have to heal all of these triggers, all of these things that hurt you. You got to heal everything. After healing it, after coming to a point of it's not just feeling better about the triggers, it's literally healing it. It's like getting to a point where things that people used to do that affect you, that get under your skin, literally there is no reaction. Even if it just means that you just had to accept that that's how life is, accept that that's just what things are, whatever it is. Like, and you have to also be okay with looking at your situation at it as it is and not being embarrassed by it. Like, you've fallen down, you've fallen on hard times. This is not even falling on hard times. This is being gang stalked. I feel like sometimes, like, I do listen to people and I'm like, you gotta cut yourself some slack. This is not a natural situation. This is a man-made disaster. This is not like the economy, or it's not you making poor decisions. You're just in a bad spot. But it's not forever. And I talk about why it's not forever. And this is very logical. Though my channel is a spiritual channel, this is very logical. So I always try to repeat it just in case people watching this don't find the video. I have a video called Gang Stalking Math. And that video talks about the kind of professionals that they need to pay, that they need to bribe in order to get the job done, and how they price that into whatever they're charging to have you gang stalked. So if you look at it, if it is taking too long for you for the desired results, and then they're running out of profit, and once they go past profit and it's still not done, depending on who the clients are, but it doesn't matter who the clients are, because gang stalking is not something you advertise in the yellow pages. So gang stalking is not something where if they have a couple of clients that are disgruntled, the business can still grow. Gang stalking is word of mouth. It means that everybody needs to be happy with the results, or else the word's gonna get around like, you can't trust these people. I paid them, and gang stalking is not cheap. It's not cheap. They're paying a lot of money for this. It's not cheap. I'm looking at, if you're talking about social workers, judges, police, people really putting their career on the line, you're talking about a lot of money. It racks up. So you're talking about people like shutting people up. It's kind of like stuffing. I don't know if anybody remembers this movie. Oh my God. I was a kid, but don't judge me. It's called Bernie. I can't remember the name of the video, but I just know when we were kids we used to sing the song. Bernie basically would not like stay dead. Like, he was dead, but he'd keep moving, and it would make people panic because he'd be at the beach, he'd be like walking out the water. Like, they had to make him like look alive, put shirts on him, prop him up, say he's sick, say he's just sleepy, this, that, and the third. Oh, he's just drunk, but they're trying to hide a body. That's what they're trying to do with you. You're alive, you're gonna be talking, you're gonna be continuing your life. They have to try to hide you, hide your happiness, hide the fact that it didn't work, hide the fact that you're still hopeful. Because listen, to kill a person's spirit is not just to abuse them, it's not just to stress them out, it's not. To kill a person's spirit, you must kill their hope in life, you must kill their faith in themselves. In tarot, these are the ace cards. You have to kill the seed. You have to uproot it from the seed, from the root. Cutting it, it will grow back up. Cutting branches, even cutting a tree at the trunk at the very lowest doesn't mean anything. These roots go deep. You gotta uproot it so it can't come back. That means you can no longer have hope in the future. Hope to start another business. Hope to have new friendships. Hope that you can find another spouse. Hope that you can love again, that you can like humanity, that you can see the good in people. Hope is what they're trying to take. Because with hope, you can do anything with a little bit of hope and self-belief. This is what you're holding on to with your spirituality. This is what God wants to encourage you to do, is to keep faith, to keep hope. And sometimes the famine is 12 years. It's like in the Bible. Sometimes you gotta wait a long time. So God has to keep your faith up for that long. You're expecting, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and it's gonna work. Because it did before. But you're in a different space now. You're in a space where you have opposition. And there's a lot of them. So it's much different for you. Got to keep your hope up for extended periods of time. Like I'm talking about the Bible, stories in the Bible where they had a famine in the whole country for 12 years. After 1 year of famine, people will be storming the castle walls. If they could even wait a year, 3 months of people, like that's a lot of discontent and that's scary. 12 years they have to wait. So you got to look at your situation like, look, it takes whatever it takes, but if 12 years is not a lifetime, 2-3 years is not a lifetime. Investment in yourself pays dividends. Dividends, not profit. Dividends, it multiplies. It multiplies. It's forever. It's the difference between paying someone to do something and learning it for yourself and keeping that skill forever and being able to build on that skill. Everything that you get in gang stalking is a skill. It's a new skill. Even if the skill is something that we like to call soft skills in North America, which I don't think they're that soft. I think they're foundational skills. Things like holding on to your hope. The difference between the president of a company and someone they hire is someone who can hold on to hope. Because the president sees the balance sheets. You might get a paycheck every week, but you don't know they're in the red. They're waiting for these 4 cases to close or these 4 sales to close in order to keep them afloat for the next 3 months. The president might not be taking a check home. He might be living on borrowed funds. The company might be running on borrowed funds, and they're not even being gang stalked. It's not even a bad economy. This is just how it works. So the difference between the owner or the president and the people that come to work is that sort of stomach, that strong stomach for hanging on in stormy situations, in choppy water. This is not a soft skill. This is a foundational skill. This is the difference between winners and average people. People who know how to hold on, people who hang on no matter what it looks like. Faith in yourself. People who have a strong mind. When you believe something and you know it to be true, you don't let anything come between you and that belief. Doesn't matter what your eyes see. It doesn't matter what the reality is right now, because you came here to create. You came here as a creator in life. This is what life is about. So we're not acceptors of reality. We're creating it. It's our canvas. So perhaps when your head was down and you were looking away, they came and they spilled over a bunch of your stuff. They trampled on everything that you were doing. They destroyed your life. And that gives you an opportunity to create a new life, a better life, but a life that is inclusive of the lessons you learned. Stop trying to recreate the same life that they just tore down. This is ineffective. This life was full of holes. Better decisions. This time, it is an opportunity for learning. And everybody that we admire and everybody that we look up to and all the people in the history books and all the people who are remembered had that one gene, the ability to endure, the ability to hold on, the ability to carve out a new tomorrow for themselves. You have to do the same thing for yourself despite your situation, despite what your eyes can see. I remember when I was younger, I would listen to, not listen to, but in history class, they would talk about like, and I'm not American, but they teach American history in our schools sometimes. And they would talk about like American presidents being at war and the war not going so well. So say like a president would convince everybody that they have to go to war, and then they spend the bulk of their time losing. They're losing faith from people. They're losing people in general. They're losing bodies. Resources are dwindling. All kinds of things are going wrong. And they would talk about, I don't want to name the president because if somebody here is from the States, they're going to tell me I'm wrong. And I don't remember. But they would talk about how stressed out this ban would be just with the situation going so wrong. And I'm sure in a situation like that, somebody would ask themselves, like, have I made a bad decision? Have I led people into a situation where things are falling apart? Of course, you're going to lose faith in yourself. You know, for myself personally, when I look at my situation, I'm not even going to lie to you. I didn't really ask myself if I made a bad decision. That's me, though. I am self-assured because I don't race into decisions. I take my time. I think it through. I weigh it so that when I move forward, I never second guess myself. When I move forward, I'm like a bull in a child. I'm bursting forward. I don't care. I don't need help. I don't need advice. I don't need any, like, get out of my ways, just like how I feel. So I never questioned, like, did I do the right thing? Should I have not done this and that? It's like, I have to remember that people are not like me, so I need to be careful. Like, some people, they do care, and some people, you know, like, they don't want trouble and whatever. Because me, it's like, I don't care. I say what I want. I do what I want. Like, that's my mentality. I would do it all over again. I would. And I'm not even done yet. I don't even know where this journey leads, but I would do it all over again. Why? Because I stand in my convictions. This is my life. And I'm living it the way that I feel like is correct. And I know in the beginning, there probably were people in my city that would laugh at my beliefs or things that I stand proudly on. But that's, who cares? It's my belief. I'm not asking anybody to believe it with me, right? But perhaps there are some of you guys that maybe are second guessing yourself, like, should I have done this? Should I have done that? Whatever. Listen, this path was going to find you one way or the other, because the thing is, you got to go through it. Nothing is by accident. You just have to accept it. You got to go through it. So one way or the other, you were going to get here. And the people gang stalking you, the people terrorizing you, they were going to get here on this ride with you as well. So everybody has a lesson here to learn. You have to stay focused on what your lessons are in the situation. And this might be, especially with the kind of gang stalking information that's out there, this might be, a very new perspective for a lot of people to hear. Everything I say in regards to shifting your mindset, it takes time, it takes practice, it takes focus, and it takes discipline to do it. Like everything else, it takes things not working. You don't grow when things work. You grow by maneuvering with things, by flowing with things. I'm going to give you guys an example. Say, for example, you know damn well in your head, that, let me see what I can think of. You need to change a tire that's low on air, or you at least need to patch it. You know in your head you do. Let's say you're being cheap and you do not want to patch the tire. You keep driving on it. Now, it costs you, what is the frame? The rim on the tire as well is now bent because you didn't do it. You know that you should have done this before and you didn't do it. So now you're in a situation where you feel like you hit a wall. With gang stalking, it's like this. The air needed to be patched in that tire, whether these gang stalkers were there or not. You needed to patch the air in your tire. The gang stalkers have just exposed to you that you're not doing the things that you should. And so now it's costed you the rim. And so in gang stalking, you're going to say, well, the gang stalkers, they costed me a rim. Actually, it's your attention to detail that costed you the rim. It's not being proactive, and it's not watching what you're doing. So me getting into gang stalking, I started thinking to myself, like, if I'm gonna have like a big business, why do I have these kind of passwords on my accounts? Why do I have, they got in the first place because of the loose security that I have on all my networks. A lot of the things that they know that they have, that they're in now. And the fact that they're in now, look at the mess that they're making. I have email accounts that I can't have access to. Like, all kinds of crap is going on because it was low security. Imagine taking that mentality without being gang stalked and trying to grow a really big business, and one of your competitors hacks your email, your business email, with such ease, gets in there and makes a mess of your business. Do you see what I'm saying? You following along? So you got to look at this gang stalking experience like something that continues to highlight gaps in everything that you're doing. And that's what I let it do for me. So if there is a point that they can access, then I haven't done a good enough job of blocking that off. It takes some thought. It takes some finding solutions. I pray over it, and then I find a solution and I get it done. And then if they get into that again, I say, okay, well, I've gotten this far on the journey. What else can I do about this? How else can we figure it out? In the beginning of this process, it is annoying. You are aggravated, blah, 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 blah. Some of these solutions take time. They take time to implement. But anything that takes time to implement is a better solution. It means there's more security in it. There's more faith you can have on it, in it. So you got to take your time to go through your life, to comb through your life as you have this slow period, and think about, what can I do better? What makes sense for me? So even for me in my journey with certain things, I may not see the progress that I want, and I have what I would call false starts. I start something, they get in the way, I got to start again. I was even thinking today, I'm like, I am like the CEO of false start, of starting over now. I'll do it quickly without a thought. I'd be like, oh, okay, well, let's start it over. Let's refresh. Let's redo this thing. Let me see how else I can do it. And I do it better and better every time. You got to wait on God's time, whatever way it goes. It is not easier said than done. It's just something you have to do. No matter what you're doing in life, it takes focus. And if you can, I'm using my father's language, but he says that I'm dramatic, and I realize I probably am. I'm dramatic. I have to be dramatic before I do everything. I have to like freak out first, and then I'm gonna do what I have to do anyways. But if you can try not to dramatize the whole thing before you get the solution, it's actually easier. So I've come to a point now where I'm not so dramatic about things anymore. I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, well, I probably should have did that earlier anyway. Some of these things, to be honest, I realized, like, honestly, I should have been doing better. I really should have been doing better. I know some of these things, I haven't been doing a good job. I have to admit it. So it's like they point it out, and then, you know, you tend to get all triggered and defensive and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, then the second thing you do is you're like, okay, well, maybe I could make a change about it, and you make a change. I'll tell you, one thing that's really important is to secure your house. It's more important than people think. So I used to have bolts, let's say, on my front door, bolts on my side door, and then the back door that I couldn't bolt because I had to come into, or the garage door, I had a bolt on the outside. And we did padlocks, and they got through that. And the only thing that they wouldn't get through is the combination locks. And we had combination locks. And was it embarrassing if someone came to your house and saw a lock from the outside of the door, it's like, who are you locking inside of the house? And it's like, I don't want to explain it, but that's what you have to do to keep them out for a bit. This is the kind of thing that you got to do. So was it annoying? Yes, because we had to change these combination locks all the time. The minute one kid forgets the lock, they would text the other kid on dirty devices, hacked devices. They would text the lock code. They would be on the phone calling about the lock code with the code. Having children is a liability in every way that you can think about. If you have kids and you're being gang stalked, you might as well just leave the front door open and tell the gang stalkers, like leave cake on the counter for them and a coffee. Because trying to explain to an adult that their device is hacked is one thing, but trying to explain to kids, these are people who you have to convince to brush their teeth and take a shower. You think they care about a hacked device and your life falling apart because people have access to your home and stuff? They are liabilities. You got to work with it. Just talking about it irritates my soul. But these are the things, these are the triggers that you have to work through. These are the things you have to heal. You have to heal all of these things and move through them, or else you're going to lose your mind. You're going to be frustrated. I am naturally a perfectionist, meaning when I do something, I like it done very well, the best that I can get it done. I must be pleased with it. Everybody comes and they're like, oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this is nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate your feedback. It is not to my standard. So I'm saying, if I want my house secure, if I want my house locked up, and kids are texting the lock codes, can you imagine for a perfectionist who wants to feel safe in their property, how that would make me feel? Like, a logical person would be bad enough. I had to heal that perfectionist thing. I had to release that. And that is like deeply ingrained in me. I had to release that. I had to be like, mistakes are gonna happen, things are gonna happen. It's like the fight is with yourself more than anything. You have to look at it that way. You have to flow with this process instead of against it, just to make it easier on yourself. There are all kinds of things that these people are going to expose to you about yourself, about your family, about your personal networks, about your friends. And you have to accept the reality of the situation and not how it should be. The reality is, we all have horrible so-called friends. That is all. It is a rule of life. It's not just you, it's everybody. They know that. They know that everybody has crappy friends. So because of that, they're just searching for the crappiest of the bunch first and working their way through. And they will show you the people who are left standing, the last men standing, the last people standing that are gonna be in your corner. And I, for one, have been grateful for that. And it's not surprising who makes the cut. You kind of already knew in the back of your head, wow, this person was the person that would have risked themselves a little bit for me. And it gets to the point, well, I'll speak for myself. It gets to the point where when you see the last man standing, you have to distance yourself from them, because you're like, they don't deserve this. They shouldn't be a part of this. They shouldn't be a part of this. You don't want to put them through that. So you pull away from them. But we all have horrible family. We all have horrible friends. This doesn't make you, don't identify with that. Like, I'm a person, I can't believe. Everybody being gang stalked 100% went through betrayals. It is a part of what happens. That is it, and that is all. So don't identify with it like it's some weakness or it's some like, everybody. People who are gang stalking you have family that are horrible. It is just human nature. So all they're doing is they're eradicating these people out of your life. They're making it very clear. So as you rebuild and you move on and you build back better, you're not including the cancer back in your life. And that is okay, but you got to make peace with it quickly. Healing does not need to take the amount of time that these therapists tell you. They bill by the hour. They bill double digits by the hour. What makes you think they want you healed in a week? This does not need to take as long. It's acceptance of a situation. That's it. I accept it. Done. And you move on, and you move on with it. Truly move on from it, so that when it comes back, when they throw it in your face, when this person calls you back, that there is nothing there. Like, you feel apathy, not hate, not resentment, nothing. You feel nothing, and you move away from it. This is the point where you want to come to. You do not want to be anywhere other than feeling nothing at all. All kinds of things that they're going to expose to you. You're going to see your neighbors, who they truly are. There are people, you're going to see the distinction between people who are just kind of doing it because there's some sort of external pressure on them, or they don't want to be a part of this. These people will not be able to hide their discomfort. These are not actors. These are normal people. You'll be able to see it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, you know. So you'll see the discomfort, and you'll know there's some external pressure pushing this person to do this. And then there'll be those who take great pleasure to see your fall. You got to make the distinction. You know, I think my case, I think neither is invited back personally, just me, and that is a very high standard. But you may have some forgiveness for the one who just comes and they're like, look, I don't want anything to do with this, so let me just throw you under the bus to save myself. And then there are those who are very happy. To me, I think it's the same. I do think it's the same, because the way that I see it, and part of what got me gang stalked, because I wasn't following through. Like, in the beginning of it, it's like they wanted to come around and tell me who not to like. In the beginning, they like this person, they go do their lashes over here, and then now tomorrow they have some imaginary problem, and they're keeping me on the phone so long telling me about the person, and now they want me to unfollow or do this or do that. No. First of all, it's not my issue. Secondly, be an adult. If you actually have an issue with someone, go talk to them, or just leave it alone. Everything doesn't have to be some sort of fight. Everything doesn't have to be like cutting people down. And I realize, oh, that's because they're gang stalking this person. They're getting ready to gang stalk this person. That's the reason that they're doing this. Oh, little did I know. But because of the way I live my life, because of what I stand for, I wouldn't naturally get involved in that. And that's a standard I want to keep for myself, for the people that I want around me. I want people who stand up and say, no, like, this person didn't do anything. They certainly didn't do anything to me. And whether or not what you're saying is true, I don't want to be involved in this. Those are the kinds of people that are welcomed in my life. So if I had to give advice on this, I would say everything in the past can go up in flames. It is okay to move forward in whatever condition your life is in. You've already lost a ton of everything else, like physical things and whatever. What's a couple of other relationships? Make peace with it. Just make peace with it. It's okay. Relationships, friendships, I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen, but real friends, you're only getting one or two in the whole lifetime. Real, genuine people that will go to war for you, like, that's what I call a real friend. Real friendships, you get one or two for your life. So the other ones, they're a dime a dozen. These are acquaintances. These are good time, fair weather people. People to invite, people that people take loans, people that people take hard-earned money to invite to a wedding. People that people take hard-earned money to have birthday parties and invite these people, feed them. These are the people that came to gang stalk you. So you have to put life in perspective right now. Do you really need this? No. Travel light. Just let it go. Be at peace with yourself. Walk away from it. It doesn't need to take you 6 months to cry about this. This is not a passed over loved one. This is a person you call maybe Christmas, birthdays, whatever. Like, and yes, there are situations where it's like a best friend. I did everything with them. They were my kid's godmother, etc., etc. That makes it worse. It makes it worse that this is a person who did all of that. You gotta make peace with it. And it's okay because it happens to all of us. Even not in a gang stalking situation, these kind of things happen. So you gotta move on with it very quickly. You gotta learn in this process to travel light. Expect betrayals, expect liars, expect people to stab you in the back, expect that you won't be able to trust people, and expect that people will not fight for you. As a matter of fact, it's not even safe to have them close to you. And once you get there, you've started closing these wounds off, healing them, walking away free from them. You equipped yourself to be emotionally healthy to get to the next point, which, you're not going to be 100% healed from the, I'm oversimplifying it. Some of these things are going to bother you. They're going to piss you off. But you got to work on it. Once you're past that first hump, now you can start getting towards the solution part of it. You're fighting an uphill battle, and that is okay. I've been fighting it too. I fight an uphill battle with this page, with this YouTube, but I will also tell you this. Today, I was cleaning up one of my social media accounts, and I realized that all the accounts with really high engagement, they hid those accounts. I don't want to explain it. They basically took it off like the homepage and took it off the main grid. And I was looking at it, I was like, oh, they give you the illusion that nothing is happening. But I think that's less for me and more for the people who paid them. It's more so for the people who paid them to look like things aren't working, but people are seeing what's going on. People are seeing my content and they're seeing the things that I'm putting out. But regardless if they didn't, I'm going to continue doing it because that's what you do. You're building something, and sometimes when you're frantic, when you know people are against you, when you know people are bullying you, when you know people are pushing you, it's like whatever you're building, you want it to start being able to pay bills around the house. But it's a seed. I gotta keep reminding that it is a seed. In good weather, you wouldn't have this kind of expectation. In stormy weather, you're trying to plant in stormy weather. That's already crazy. But you have to, because you gotta eat. You gotta do things like building a shelter around it with a lock, building a greenhouse with a glass ceiling, monitoring it day and night, etc. Like, you gotta put things in place. And if you can't trust anyone, that means you gotta build it yourself. You don't want anyone attached to anything that you're doing at all. Nothing. You want no one to say that because it was of their contribution, whether you paid them or not. Remember, these are gang stalkers, these are liars, these are manipulators. These are liars. These are not even liars, these are shapeshifters. So you want no part of anything that help. No help. Do it by yourself, no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult it is. Because here's the thing, God's not going to bless you with these kind of people around you. And I've proven that to myself over and over and over again. You're not getting the new beginning that you keep praying for with any part of this cycle open. As a matter of fact, God needs to clean this up before nothing is gonna work. It's like a spiritual law that I learned when I was younger. I'll explain this. When I was younger, I used to hold on to relationships that were clearly no good for me. And it was the attachment that I was holding on to. So it came to a point where I was just like, listen, I can't keep doing this with this person because this person doesn't like me. It's not that this person has, I had a friend that admitted to me while she was drunk crying. She's like, I'm jealous of you. I'm always jealous of you. And I was there comforting the girl about it's okay, and the kind of things coming out of her mouth. At one point I was like, what did she say? Like, she was talking about my kid and everything, and I was like, oh my God, scary. I'm close to the enemy. As soon as I released this girl from my life shot up. I'm not joking. Everything worked in my life. Everything started. All the things I was working for. She was a blockage to my life without her even knowing she was a blockage. When I start, and this wasn't the first time, there's other phases in my life. As soon as I let go of certain people, my life shoots up. So when I got to my gang stalking phase and I was like, oh, it's one of these situations, boy, I started cutting people off left and right. It was like, just in case. I don't have an issue with you. I don't know if you have an issue with me. Truly, I do not care. But just in case you're a blockage, you gotta go. So it wasn't a situation of who I'm gonna cut off. It's like I'm cutting off everybody because me first. I need to figure this out. I need to figure out what's going on. I was on a cutting spree. It wasn't just me. My kids. You guys gotta cut everybody off too. This is very serious what's happening here. This is serious. So everybody's a liability, and they had no limits. They were using my kids' friends. I was noticing it with the parents of my kids' friends. Looked like they were grumbling if I came around, if my kid came around, basically. Then I realized, oh, people are bothering them too. So everybody has to cut everybody off. We're going into isolation. This is a zombie apocalypse. These people out here are crazy, and they're involving innocent people that don't even want to be a part of this. And people shouldn't even be fighting in this battle, because this is not their battle. This is mine. So people will block your life because of some attachment that you want to hold on to, the history. But this is gonna burn you down, because life goes in cycles, and some things have to end, some people have to end. It's like saying I'm gonna live forever in the first house that I buy. That could work for some people, but it's unlikely. You might have to go through homes, things might happen. You might need to expand, something might burn down, whatever. It's like you can't keep clinging on to it. You gotta release things. There's seasons. So you have to get to a point where you realize, like, this is a blockage. The whole gang stalking thing is a blockage. If this is not addressed head on, they will stagnate your life for the rest of your life. Because why would they want to stop being paid for your case? And if you look like it's working, it's easy to go negotiate for more money. End of story. Yeah. So you gotta get rid of these people. And I mean pronto. Pronto. You gotta deal with the gang stalking thing. Head on, head on, head on. There is no trying to negotiate with it, trying to, how can I work with it? How can I fix it? If I just do this for them and I just, do that and I keep them happy, then they'll leave me alone. They'll go. No, 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 no. Do not negotiate with terrorists, okay? These are people who would strap the ammunition to themselves and blow themselves up and hug you. Do you know the mindset of people that do stuff like that? Okay, don't negotiate once. Don't you know, this is a mindset. This is a mindset that I have personally. I don't negotiate with anything that I don't like. It's a no up front. It's a very strong no. And it's a no that tells you I'm prepared to fight the situation. Always been like this. Always been like this. And that's the thing. You know what? I realize because I'm so nice on the onset, I'm so sweet, I'm so kind, it very much does. It, it does. I'm not gonna say mask it, but people are not prepared to see that. Their guards were down for sure, way down. And when they see it, it's like it all comes out all at once, and it is shocking. But I mean it. I'm very much not afraid of a fight. Like, I could go to court and address the judge as if it's one of my children. Like, I don't, I'm not concerned about stuff like that without being disrespectful too. But it's like the whole cowering, bowing down thing. You gotta just be ready to go to war. That's the bottom line. You gotta be ready to go to war. In fact, that's the point. The point is for you to learn how to be at war. That's the point. I am not saying, so this leads me to the next thing that I was going to say is, so I had a video and they copied the content, and it said gang stalking comes before the rise, right? Now, I'm talking about spiritual ascensions. Very important. Spiritual ascensions. When your eyes open up spiritually. My content is to help people going through spiritual ascensions. It's not just specifically to gang stalking, because this is the kind of spiritual ascension that I went through. So this is how I can help. This is my contribution. I am not talking to everybody. Some people are very committed in their faith, whatever it is. I'm respectful of that. It is what it is. Do I have confidence in it? Obviously not, but it will take whatever amount of time it will take for you to see spiritually what you have to, right? When I say gang stalking comes before the rise, first of all, let me backtrack. Spiritual ascensions, they are meant for you to survive them, and you're going through it because you can survive it, but it's the way it comes at you, it's like it wants to take you out. You are going through a spiritual ascension where I talk about it like training with live ammunition. They're shooting real bullets at you, and if one catches you, you know it'll do damage, but you are going through it to get through it. That's why the spiritual help doesn't come the way that you want it to or the way you're used to it. Let me give an example. Children walk through certain things depending on the spiritual positioning of the parents. So I do want to say that. If you have parents who are dabbling in things they're not supposed to, doing things that they're not supposed to, etc., the children are fair game spiritually. People know that. They should understand that. I'm not going to say people are not doing things to people's kids. People certainly try to do things to people's kids, but a lot of times the kids are collateral damage. Why? Because if spirits come after you, sometimes they go after the weakest ones as a warning sometimes. And the weakest ones could be anything. It could be actual people, it could be children, it could be pets, it could be whatever. So it's like, if you're at full-blown war, spell work energy being sent back and forth and all kinds of stuff, like if you're in these kind of you have to know that children involved. People go into these things so lightly. There's babies, there's pregnancies, there's all kinds of things that they're going through this, and it's like, what? This is not something that you go initiate this kind of nonsense. Like, even the spirits who know spiritual law are not going to even jump in just like that. Like, anyway, when you're going through this ascension process, let's say you have children while they're going through ascension, they're walking through the energy and they don't have to do anything that you do. You are being ascended. You have to do a whole bunch of stuff. Your kids, no, I'm not saying don't cleanse them. Please cleanse the kids. Like, I pray and cleanse my children all the time, all the time. Middle of the night, middle of the day, all this, like all the time. But I'm saying they walk through things unfazed. They can't even see it. They can't even feel it. It doesn't even affect them. You have to earn it. So this is really your battle. This is really for you to learn. This is for you to strengthen up in the spirit. So when I say cleaning up the gang stalking thing, whether it's a gang stalking thing, whether they send you one of these high level witch doctors that are doing crazy things that you didn't even know people could do, these witch doctors that have lived with entities since they were 7, let me tell you, some people, as soon as they come out of the womb, probably even in the womb, listen, the whole time, they have angels with them, they have family members with them, right away they come in with protection. It's the same thing for these dark people. They come out and it's like them and these energies come and seek out this soul because they've been working with this soul for a long time. This consciousness, this person has a high likelihood to let this energy in. And as soon as it gets back in, it's like back in the saddle. The seat that they're gonna sit in this person's vessel has their butt crease. It's like, it's comfy. It's like this person is just a comfy place for this entity because how they are. And you have to understand it goes both ways. People like to only think about God and good and everything, and they never think about bad. Like, in the same degree that there's all this good, there's all this bad as well. So you have to look at it like at life in general, at large, in the same way. So you have these people who have had this entity talking to them in their ear from a kid, and now you meet this person in their 50s, a whole mature demon, and this is the one that you have to battle. This is your ascension. This is how you're waking up. You're like, oh my goodness. First of all, I want to say what I said to myself. I was like, listen, I must be very capable and I must have really been of service in some way in a past lifetime or something, that this is what I got to deal with in order to get out of here. And it is very clear very early on that you have to do it. This is not like before where you were protected. Before you wake up, you're protected, you're shielded. So this is like the kid of a very wealthy person who has always lived in a certain type of house, in a certain type of neighborhood, been able to email someone and their whole place is furnished, and have access to money and all of these things that makes their life very easy. And all of a sudden, with no warning, one day they're like, hey, by the way, you got to go on your own and we're not giving you money. You got to go get a job. You got to figure it out. What? That's how it feels. You've always had protection. You've always skirted out of certain situations. You've always taken a risk and it works. So you're a risk taker naturally because it always works. You've already been conditioned that everything works out for you. You do things that other people probably wouldn't do because 10 out of 10 times you get away with it. Actually, you've never even, it's not like you're a person who does bad things, but it's like you've never really, nothing's ever happened to you before. This is why this is so shocking. That's the first thing that you kind of have to, like, wait, what is going on here? People who are going through spiritual ascensions have been so heavily protected the entire way that they don't know like what is happening right now. That's the other beautiful part about it, is once you're going through the spiritual ascension, because God has been there for you the whole time, you're not one who's ever going to question like, is God real? Did God forget about me? You're never going to question that. But you're going to be like, wait a minute, guys, like what's going on? What is going on here? Have I done something? Have I offended you? Why is this going so long? Because you're already the kind of person who's like, it's not that I'm not gonna have a problem, it's just that if I'm patient enough, I'll get out of it. Now it's 6 months, now it's a year, now it's 2 years. You're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? You're meant to take this journey and you're meant to learn. So you have to be the type of person now that's like, listen, I gotta find solutions to the things that are going on. But everybody gets through it. Everybody gets through it. You've not been abandoned. They're sitting there and they're watching you and they're waiting and they're watching how you handle the situation. Because they know you're going to get through it. It's going to be fine. But it seems to me this is how they wake people up every lifetime. What kind of chaotic... This is crazy. So you mean I have done this every lifetime like this? This is mad. But here's the strategy in it. It's like a double mission. Every time this happens, it's like they're putting you on a job. It's not just training, they're putting you on a job. You got to take this thing down. It's not just a person. It's an entity behind the person. There's no way you're telling me you're going through an ascension, you really feel like the head person you're dealing with is like a human being. They might have a body, but that's not a person. It's not a human being. I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm being serious. You're telling me you go through gang stalking, you really think you're dealing with people here? This thing is just body hopping. It walks on these people. And I can tell you that for a fact. It walks in these people. But you know one thing these entities I at least respect about them, they're not going to come in certain spaces themselves. They're going to send people in. They're going to send people in and the entity itself will wait outside because they're like, we know what's inside of there. We won't go. And these kind of entities, it's like the way they work with these people, it's so underhanded. It's like they know this is going to happen every single time. They know what kind of situation these people are putting themselves in. Because anybody that goes against someone that hard too, who's going through a spiritual ascension, and don't get me wrong, I don't think everybody makes it through their spiritual ascension, but you have to give it up. You can't just take this away from people that want this, that are determined. They have to give it up. That's why they go so hard at you, because they're like, if we can get you to give it up, then that's a big win. God won't let you give it up. So it does feel like a tug of war for your energy, but you have to walk through it. You have to go through it. As long as you get through it, they get judgment. It's not like you're actively here taking people down. But as long as you get through it, they're going to be taken down. Why? Because these people need these entities to do this to you. And they have to pay the entity with your energy. And if they cannot do that, then whose energy does the entity... Somebody's going to pay. It's like that Denzel Washington video where he's like, listen, I'm leaving here with something. I don't care what, but I'm leaving here with something. It's like that. The entity's leaving. One person is with... That's why you think to yourself, how comes they keep going and going and going? How comes they keep doing this? How comes they're putting themselves in harm's way for this? Because if they don't, it's you or them. If they don't do it, there's major consequences for that. So it feels like as you're trying to wake up, as you're trying to walk in the way that God wants you to walk, you're facing this fight. But there's always, and I'll tell you from my experience, there's always this energy that God's just watching very, very closely. Very closely, but not intervening like she would have before. Not getting in it, letting you handle it this time. You have always been covered, so you don't know how to fight. You got to get in it. You got to see what we've been blocking you from. You got to see what this looks like. You're the one who has to get in there. You got to, they're not shielding you from all the attacks. You're feeling all the work. You're feeling that spell work. You're feeling people bothering you. And especially when you get in a situation, there's this video I was listening to today about destiny swapping, which I come on and I talk about things and I'm like, I hope, I hope people don't think I'm just pulling this out of thin air. Please. This happens to all of us that are waking up. They want your life. They want your light. They want everything that comes with being you. They want all of it. And I mean, they want everything. Because being you is an enjoyable experience. Even while being gang stalked, there's a difference between how some people are gang stalked and the rest are being gang stalked. The rest, it's like, I look at other people going through the gang stalking thing and I can see it. I can see it. And there's some people, it's like, the way they're walking through it, it's like there's still some layers of protection here, because they're not experiencing the things that other people are going through, and not in the way that other people are going through it either. I think with mine, it's been draining, exhausting, and aggravating. It hasn't been painful, but for a lot of reasons, and I definitely feel like I was prepared to go through this as well. Just conditioned in certain ways from a very young age. Very few things to heal. Actually, the bulk of I had one real thing that I had to heal that I just didn't heal, and it healed right away when it was very easy to heal. Everything else, like, I was mostly healed, mostly self-sufficient. Like, a lot of different things were kind of already in place. I don't know if it's like that for everyone, but it's like, I hope it is. I hope it is. I think maybe, your guides, they prepare you as much as they can, because it's the fight of your life. It's the fight of your life. And then you just get to a point where you're like, I think once you get to the point where you accept that this battle is happening, this is going to happen, they're not pulling you out of this. You have to get strong and you have to get comfortable in it, and then you realize, oh, the reason they want me comfortable is because this is a part of my life moving forward. And you don't know exactly what it is that they want you to do, but whatever it is, you gotta be the type of person that is not scared of what is happening right now. So I realized that's when things started easing up for me, is when I just got to the point where I'm just like, who cares? It's just like, these behaviors, these underhanded behaviors are normal enough that I'm going to pretend that they're normal. It's normal enough. And I look past certain things and I get good at certain things. I learn certain things. I'm very much focused on anything that bothers me. I learn it. I learn it in great detail. What is it? How do they do it? And, so I've gotten to a point where I feel so in control of my situation. It's almost like, I summon certain behaviors, or I just feel in control of my situation. I'll put it that way. These people get very predictable, very predictable, very predictable. So just ask yourself, like, everybody's situation is different, but how would I make this work for me? It's predictable behavior. It's like zombies, right? So, people who live in, we're talking about movies here, obviously fictional, but if people who adapt to zombies, they know how to get around the zombies. They just have to live with it. It's the same way you gotta live now. Because these people, let me tell you, they own the magazines, they own the media, they own the hospitals, they own everything. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. And they activate them on you all the time. If you've been in gang stalking long enough, you see people go from normal and then they start gang stalking. So it's like, you can't really, You have to know this is a part of the reality that you've woken up to. You cannot try to go back to the past. The past is done. It wasn't even that lovely while it lasted, to be honest with you. Those people were irritating. You dealt with crap all the time. You deal with things on jobs, you deal with things in friendships, you deal with family stuff. At least now you have a pretty good understanding as to like why it happens, how comes you go through it. So you heal it, walk away from it, come to terms with it, make better plans, choose better people, raise the bar as high as you can. To me, there is no such thing as you're asking for too much. It's just you don't need as many people. Not many people are going to meet that standard, but doesn't mean that nobody's going to meet it. And after what you've been through, you know the risk of lowering the standard is things like this happen. So if you are now spiritually awakened, you got to be around spiritually awakened people, or else you're going to be banging your head against a wall constantly trying to get people to accept the reality of things. It's like trying to explain to people that you really are gang stalked. Hasn't that been like ridiculous? They see the behaviors, they see that things are odd, and everything to them is like it's a coincidence, or it's. So why be around people that you're gonna have to like explain yourself like this to, that you're gonna have to go through this constantly? If you're going through a spiritual ascension, you have to be around spiritual people, and good spiritual people, because be careful. So this is my next point. Don't get help during spiritual ascension from human beings, please. First of all, this happened because somebody realized that you're going through an ascension or you're pre-ascension, and they realize that you don't know anything about the spiritual world. And they looked at you, sized you up, and they're like, the odds of me getting away with this are probably high because this person's not going to know how to defend themselves. And so you're going through this and you have to learn spiritually how to defend yourself. And that comes at a cost. It's painful. Spirit doesn't tell you what you have to do as you're suffering this pain. Listen, when my spiritual hygiene was not consistent, I was just going through the pain of it. I was just suffering with it until I had to put the pieces together myself. Like, wait a minute, no. This is not just like you do it every once in a while. Like, you got to do this every single time, or you have to like make this a part of your life. You got to do it this way and do it that way. And then you come to the realization like, oh, I got to take care of myself spiritually the same way I take care of myself financially or physically. I got to make sure that I don't just let anybody in my energy in my life. I'm not like, you have to, the lessons they come, they're just hard earned. God's not gonna, it's like no help. You're not getting any help from anybody. You have to do it alone. And then, I know for me and I know for other people that come out and make content, it's like as soon as you get through it, you're advised, pushed, you feel a nudge to like talk to other people and tell other people how you got through it, because it's very painful. Going through a spiritual ascension and like going to witch doctors and other people, other spiritualists or whatever, you're putting yourself in harm's way even worse. There are people who have said that they got help with, getting things taken care of and cleaned up. I just went straight to God. I took it in prayer. I took my time. I learned how to do things for myself, because cannot trust anyone. Cannot trust anyone. I'm not gonna say that I will never trust anyone for the rest of, okay, take it a step back. I never did trust anyone. I've never really been a very trusting person my entire life. I can't say things happen to make me that way. I know how to skirt out of trouble. It's just that I see how people behave, and I've just maybe always been like that. I think we all have behaviors that we all come into this life with that we may not know why. Like, you might meet somebody and out of the blue you're like, I don't like this person, I don't know them, but something about them, it's like that. I've just never been super trusting. So it's like I go back to where it is. I just trust people to be who they are. So it's once you're gang stalked, you know better. Because if you heal from the gang stalking, it's not because you are going to be super trusting towards everybody, or you're still damaged or you're hurt or whatever. It's just you know human nature now. You know how human beings are. You're always going to sleep with one eye open. You're always going to sleep with one eye open because you know how these people are. You know, for me, I read entire contracts, all those fine prints and whatever, I read it. But this was me pre-gang stalking. Pre-gang stalking, I was reading that stuff and asking questions. If I go to a lawyer's office, if I buy a house, whatever, like I'm reading the fine print. Me now, I'm reading it twice and I'm highlighting like because you just don't want to find yourself in issues with people that are this relentless. They are relentless. If you think you're having an issue with them now and they're gang stalking you and they're getting a rise out of you and they're trying to destroy you, let them ever try to see you walk away. They are going to go crazy. They're going to double down. In fact, when I was going through it, I had someone say to me, like, he literally said, he was like, listen, don't do all of this because he's like, you're just going to make them tighten their grip around you even more. And he did not lie. And it's been like the whole time of them trying to have a tighter and tighter control and just being hard-headed to accept, like, this is never going to happen. As far as I go anyway, it's just never going to happen with me. You have to decide to give your life up with gang stalkers. Gang stalkers cannot just come and take your life. As soon as you see all of these things that they're opening up in your life, you got to close it one by one. One by one. And one of the biggest ways that you're going to close this is spiritually, because everything happens in the spirit first before it happens physically. And you got to come to terms with that. You got to accept that. Or you're going to be here for a long time, if not the rest of your life. They're going to feed off of your energy forever because these people spiritually bind themselves to you, and you really got to get out of that. And that's something people really have to come to terms with. Not just pray, not just pray. You got to spiritually cleanse. You got to learn. You got to open your mind to a lot of new spiritual concepts. Spirituality is not Christianity. These are two different things. Let me explain something. When I look at practitioners online, I follow both, good and bad, the dark ones, the light ones, because everybody can teach you something, right? I follow the dark ones. They're always burning sage. They have a whole bunch of protection stuff everywhere, amulets, crystals, jewels, everything. The light ones don't even have an incense stick burning. They have nothing. They're just there, raw dogging it, and spiritually awakened and spiritually valuable. This is what I mean. You gotta learn from everyone. You gotta observe, you gotta try. You gotta open yourself up to things. You know, being gang stalked, that things are happening that can't be explained. Burns are appearing on your body, bruises are appearing on your body. Like, I watch people online and I'm seeing all of this and I'm like, damn, this is what would happen if you didn't spiritually cleanse. There's people taking videos of like all kinds of things, ways that they get sick. This is spiritual torture. What do you mean just pray? Pray how? You gotta do everything. You gotta walk through the portal of the thing that we all are scared of, which is spirituality. We're all scared of it. They want you to be scared of it. Do you think they want everybody to be spiritually aware? Wouldn't that be scary when you realize how easy it is to block your energy off of people, from people, to take precautions, things you shouldn't do, things that are not okay, things that you have been advised to do that have kept you protected, and then you don't even know Like, I'll give an example. Today, this person showed their face for the first time. She might have been one of the only ones they couldn't get to. As soon as I saw it, I was like, well, here we go. This is the beginning of her second ascension. That's a second ascension she's gonna go through, because they're gonna print that picture and it's gonna go on 100 altars. That's just how this thing goes. That's a second ascension. When they start putting your picture on altars and you gotta fight back, that is a second ascension. It doesn't take pain, money, effort. It's not like working a job for them to do the spell work. Doing that round the clock is nothing. You're the one that has to catch that energy and do something with it. But they need to. They need to learn at the end of the day, because what do you mean? Like, you can't be in divination, reading cards and doing all that kind of stuff and you're not protected. Like, you can't. So you got to understand the reasons why these things must be done. And a lot of these people in these, they know why they shouldn't do it. They've gone through enough things. So you waking up right now to the reality of the world, that the world is spiritual. Gang stalking is teaching you that the world is spiritual. You want to accept it, or you want these gang stalking people on here to keep telling you to pray to Jesus? You want to accept that you need to open up your mind, that you need to accept new concepts, that you need to learn new things to deal with this stuff, to make it stop, to block it out, how to rebuild your life and how to walk away? Or you want to keep doing the same thing and hoping for a different result? You'll be praying to Jesus forever. You have to, new things are needed. New ideas are needed. Trying new things are needed. So on my channel, I have all these different playlists. Go through them, cherry pick as you want, spiritual cleansing, all kinds of things. Go through it and check it out. When you are awakening, and this was one thing that I really wanted to say, it's very important to say it. The reason that I say don't go to people for help, go to the spirit. The whole point of the spiritual ascension is to get to know spirit. When people go and they pay money to like these groups and they want to learn spiritually, say they have a gift or two, and parents might pay for their children to go to these groups so that these groups can develop their kids spiritually and teach them how to learn the spirit and call the spirit in and do the work and whatever. Okay. A lot of the times that they go through their spiritual ascension, the attacks come from the people who are supposed to be training them. Because these people look into these kids and they realize that this kid is going to be greater than me one day. This kid is going to unseat me. This person has a greater calling. This person has a closer connection. And you just think you're Sarah, you know, and you just think that, you know, something that you do or something that happens to you is just like a weird thing, but it's not a big deal. It's not like scary, it's not satanic, it's not, none of that. It's just like a weird thing. And then they look into your life and they're like, wait a minute, like this person is destined for A, B, C, D, E, and I want it for myself. And now you're 2, 3, 4 years into fighting this high-level witch doctor that won't leave you alone. You need to learn how to do that fight quicker, like sooner than later, because these people, this is a very scary thing. This is a very a painful thing, as you're seeing. And when you happen to get these witch doctors that have gang stalkers at their disposal, sorry, you're dealing with a worse problem than other people. When you know that you're actively being gang stalked, like it's overt, because a lot of people are being gang stalked and it's not overt, so they don't identify as being a witch, gang stalked. They don't identify as being gang stalked. They identify as maybe like they're having bad luck or whatever the case is, but you know it's gang stalking. Like you can see what's happening in your life. So if you're one of these people that can actually see it, the reason that you're seeing it is because you have some, the only thing that I've been able to constantly come to is like, it's either you have some type of spiritual gift, or like sometimes they do it where they want you to know. But I feel like in my situation, they wanted me to know I was being gang stalked. Like they wanted to push me in such a way, but it's like they're not happy with how much I do see of them. They're not happy with how much I see past what they're showing. And there are a lot of people who are being gang stalked that are seeing way past what these people are showing. And when you listen to the videos that they put out, you can tell. You can tell that these people, like, there's some type of like foresight that they have. There's some type of like additional knowledge that they've come into. And obviously this is coming from somewhere. So please try, like, go to the spirit, go in the spirit and get your help. I would not, I do not trust these spiritual teachers for anything. First of all, they lead you the wrong way, number one. You're supposed to be being led to the light. They transfer a lot of their karma to these young people coming in so that they can live a more peaceful life. Somebody came in my comments in my live stream, and they said, imagine waking up screaming. I can't remember what they said. Imagine waking up screaming from nightmares or something like that. I've been going through this for 6 years. It's a person who hasn't slept for 6 years is what they're saying. Waking up like that in nightmares like that every 6 years. What are you carrying on you? What is going on in your life? This is why they want to trade lives with people. People are living like this. I'm telling you, people are living in this way where nothing works for them. It's not one, it's not two, it's not three. These people have found themselves in an issue with the energies that they work with. They'll try to manipulate and lie and say it's this person and that person, whatever. It's the energies that they're dealing with. They found themselves in this situation, and they're gonna say, oh, this person's attacking me, that person's attacking me, blah, blah, blah. And some of the energies that they've sent towards me, I know it's younger kids. I know these are young people just coming in. You can sense it in their energy, and they're terrified and they're scared. And I'm thinking the fact that they put these kids in this situation has essentially ruined these kids' lives. As soon as you work with certain energies, the anxiety never stops. The sleepless nights start. Seeing shadow figures and things all over your house, and these energies get closer and closer all the time. Like that becomes the reality of your life. And being that young and starting and acclimatizing to live that way, that's how you make a dark practitioner, because at some point they have to do something about that. It's like how you feel being gang stalked in the physical world is like how these people feel in the spiritual world. They can't close their eyes, they can't go to sleep, they can't have a moment of rest because these energies are after them. That's how it feels, gang stalking in the spirit. That's what they're going through, and they want to swap situations with you. And I'm telling you guys, don't take it from me. You can go on YouTube and search. Celebrities talk about this. Whenever they find I was watching a video like this at one point where it was like people that said like they made a bad deal. They were asked to find like some family member that they would sacrifice, and they didn't want to do that. And they just found themselves in a situation. They're like, from the moment they made the deal, they've had anxiety, they've had depression, they've never had a good night's sleep. Like, they're like, yeah, I got the money, I've just never enjoyed it. And it's like, that's when you see people are always doing hard drugs, they're always doing all of these things. It's like to cope with this reality. Imagine being gang stalked in the spirit. It's the same thing. You can't even tell people about this. If you're gang stalked in the spirit, the same way you're gang stalked in person, no one believes you. People are going to tell you to go to the hospital. They're gonna be like, go get some help, get some medication. You know that it's real, but it's like you're drowning in yourself because no one will help you, and no one can help you, and no one should help you. Anybody that helps you is trapped as well. So this is how you throw your life away. So for me, I would just say to people, like, just walk your path. Don't don't ask for help. The spirits are there to help you. Your ancestors are there to help you. The Most High is there to help you. For anybody that is just listening to me, I personally believe that the universe is female. I don't believe, I know. I know. I use the word believe sometimes because, you know, we're in North America, and North Americans do not like people having their own opinions, okay? North Americans like to police people's thoughts and opinions and make everybody think the same thing. Somebody like myself does not care about that at all. So sometimes I say things like I believe, but it's like I know, okay? When you get into spirituality, energies are masculine and feminine, okay? Some are both masculine and feminine. In the spirit, okay, at the very top, there is a masculine and feminine energy, and it is just the energy of like a mother and a father energy. I align with both. I'm very close to the mother energy. I'm close with both, to be honest. I talk more about the mother energy because it's an energy that nobody talks about. Everybody talks about God as a father. People do not talk about God as a mother figure. And she's the one that has helped me and walked through with me through my gang stalking experience. And I absolutely can appreciate that this is a very controversial take for some people. This is a very alternative take for some people. But I want to assure you that ancient civilizations worshipped femininity. This is the inception. This is the original religion, is to worship femininity, to worship the female energy, okay? Because she is loving. She's everything that a mother would be. So she's the archetype for motherhood. So this is a very gentle energy to go through gang stalking with. A very gentle teacher. There's something that actually I'm going to read the next time I come on live and I talk about her. Very gentle teacher, a provider, somebody who thinks ahead. How safe you feel with a mother, someone who never leaves, someone who's understanding, very soft-hearted, very compassionate. And I know this is a very difficult time, and if you're open to, receiving help, receiving results, real results, if you're going to invest your time to pray, you're going to invest your time to get results. She's eager to prove herself that she's there, that she's real. So it's not like, I remember when I was with, a Christian, and you know how it is. You pray, and the prayer to Jesus, it's not like nothing happens, but this is different. This is not like when results come into your life, right? When you are worshiping the real, true creation, the creator energy, the mother energy, right? And the father energy as well. Don't get me wrong. Results are not really the same way as, like, it's not coincident. They put their signature on everything to make sure that it was them. They answer prayers with synchronicity, what we call synchronicity, meaning making sure that this is from us. We put our logo on everything that we give you. It's so strategic that you yourself are confused when you're explaining to people how it happened. You're not responsible for this one. You didn't work for this one. This is not your idea. You just know in your heart. To yourself, you're like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. This is how it is. This is the most amazing experience of my entire life. So much so that if it took gang stalking to get here, then so be it. I never thought I would say that. I never, ever, ever. So much so that when I was being actively gang stalked, I said, it's like she was comforting me, like, it's okay. You're going to be fine. You're going to see why you have to go through this. And I remember I was like, one time I was annoyed and I was like, if I see why I have to go through this, I'm going to apologize. And when I got there, I was so apologetic because I was like, oh my goodness, I could have never seen this coming. I could have never foretold that, like, I actually do have to go through this. So I'm just saying, if you believe, and you have no choice if you're being gang stalked, if you believe that the spirit realm is real, that energy is real, then that means that you are halfway there. If you can open up your heart and open up your mind to something different, I promise you, you will make it through this on the right side. Because if these dark energies get you to believe in what they believe in, you'll see results as well, but it will come with a price. They cannot create. They can only destroy, and they can only steal, and they can only bully people to drop what is theirs. They can't create anything new. They can't create anything tangible. You can only do that with light energy. You can only do that with light energy. And I just want to tell you, in my situation, it is not because the gang stalkers want to stop. It's not because they're not relentless. It's not because they don't come up with a new plan literally every day. It is not because of that. I didn't wait for it to stop. It's being blocked from me. I walk the streets without being crowded. I go places I am at peace. I move around freely. I give advice on that. They're practical ways that you have to implement, but all these practical things are meaningless without spiritual assistance. A lot of it, without spiritual guidance, being guided through life, with coming to the point that you just let God take control. You let God lead you. God will talk to you. You're saying, well, how? You're wondering. You got to trust the process. You got to be guided through. This is why channels like mine are blocked, because they can tell I know what I'm talking about. And don't just take it from me. There are going to be tons of other, whether it's channels, whether it's, TikTok accounts, whatever it is, there's going to be tons of this material everywhere. I'm just telling you what worked for me, what helped me. I think this was the I know this was in my heart. I know this was the point of me going through this. I truly feel like I had to walk through it in order to show other people that it's possible. And I had to go through it alone, so no one can say, well, it happened for you because, this happened or that happened or this person helped you. I've gone through this completely by myself, unassisted by anyone at all. And I definitely feel like I have a miracle story. And this is the reason I feel like it's such a big deal for me to come back and tell people, like, first of all, when I say God is real, because I do say that all the time, I don't just mean you pray and something happens, God is real. I mean, God is really real, like you can, if you had the ability to see, you would be able to see, like physically see it. God is real. God is real. Real, real, real. That was my first surprise. I was like, oh my God. Like, this changes my perspective. 2, God answers back. I don't mean like answers a prayer. Like, I mean speaks back. Like, I mean answers back. Blows your mind. Has a personality. Has a consciousness. Like you have a personality. Has likes and dislikes. So, you know, if you work with different spirits or you encounter different spirits, they're all different. They're all different. They all feel different emotions. They feel things. They're upset, they're happy, they'll cheer you up. They'll love your kids like your pets. Like they'll give you advice on all kinds of things and you're like, wait, you're a spirit, how do you even know this? Like that's one of the things that like blows my mind. So I know if I'm having this experience that there are people that are getting advice from spirits, good or bad, both ways. Like people develop ideas and the ideas come directly from spirit. So if you have a chance, anybody watching, go to my community tab on my channel, and I have this trailer for this kids movie coming out called The Wild Robot. I like cried so much when I watched this because this is how I feel with spirit. This is how I feel. So I'm gonna give you like a quick little breakdown. So basically it's like this robot got abandoned in like a forest and they thought it was like defunct, like it wouldn't work. It came back online. It started bonding with the animals. It started learning about the wildlife, bonding with the animals. And then there's a scene it cuts to where it's like it needs to teach this bird, this really young bird that had no mother, that's egg that it found. It has to teach it to fly down south on time. And then it basically had to like be a mother energy to this bird. And they were like, listen, it's probably not gonna make it. And it said it can make it if it can make up what it doesn't have in skill in heart. And don't worry, I'll protect it. And that's where I broke down crying, because that's how I feel. That's how I feel with this energy with me, is that, and that's how we have to go through gang stalking, to be honest. It's like what we cannot make up with resources, with human capital, meaning people around us to help us, money, connections, you have to make it up with heart. You got to keep going. You got to get strong. You got to release the fear, release worrying about the future, take your life day by day, and have heart, have a lot of heart, and keep fighting. We all love these movies where we see that person who's the underdog make it back out. And how did they make it back out? With heart. And that's who you are. You're an underdog energy right now, and nobody has hope or faith that you're going to make it through. And you got to prove yourself wrong when you don't think you're going to make it through. You have to do this for you, because it is your life. Well, look at the age that you are right now. That you're going to give it up to this. This is not how it's going to end. When you were younger and you saw your life and you were envisioning, this is not what you saw. So you cannot let this be it. You gotta fight your way out. Every day, you gotta push yourself a little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more hope. Get rid of the fear of the unknown, the fear of losing things, the fear of how are you, everything. Get rid of all these fears and start getting hopeful. Start being intentional about moving forward. Last thing I'm gonna say before I leave, because this was the most beautiful way that I woke up this morning. I have posted in my shorts, first of all, before I go there, House of Cards used to be one of my favorite shows in the world. And in my mind, Frank Underwood was my husband. It was like my imaginary husband. What I loved about Frank Underwood more than anything was his tenacity. Not the underhanded crap that he kept doing. That was not it. Frank is pure evil. It wasn't about the underhandedness. What everybody loved about that character was that he always found a way. Frank was a narcissist, actually, if you really think about it. Frank was a narcissist. But he always found a way, until he didn't, obviously. But it was the way he went about it. That's how you have to go about your life. every time there's a near like experience that's gonna take your hope, because they're not gonna physically harm you, so don't think it's gonna be like near death or anything like that. They're not gonna physically harm you, but every time you get to like a near like hopeless state or a near fearful state, because you need to release this fear, every time you get there, you got to be like, okay, solution time. What can I do about this? Okay, they're blocking my this. What can I do? They're doing this. What can I do? Sometimes the only thing you could do is keep going. The only thing you could do is look past it. Don't let every blowing wind blow you this way or blow you that way. You got to do the unthinkable. You got to keep going, because your enemies are going to do that. That's what gang stalkers are going to do. I have someone on my case right now that they're going to continue to try every day until they can't. I've accepted it. They're going to continue to plot until they physically cannot do it. And so the only way through is to physically never give up. And I've stumbled, I haven't fallen, I've stayed on my feet. In the beginning, I was stumbling a lot more until I started saying, well, I gotta be strategic, I gotta be careful, I gotta keep close to spirit, I gotta do the work. And it's paid off in major ways, you know. So when I woke up today, to add a little bit of that, I stopped watching House of Cards when I think a lot of people stopped watching when there was that scene with him and another man, a past friend or whatever. And I remember showing it to someone at the time, and I was like, oh my God, they lost me. And mentally it was like, oh, divorce. Sorry, Frank, divorce. I've never turned back. But I loved the way that Kevin Spacey played the character. It was interesting. And so I woke up and I was looking at this, I was watching it from the night before, this longer clip, the Piers Morgan interview where they were talking about, you know, what he's been through or whatever. And so he's gone through bankruptcy. Well, he said he hasn't gone through it, but he's gotten close and whatever, and he's lost everything and whatever. What I think about that situation is I think they wanted to can him. He got very powerful because he was the show. And so I think that's one of those things that he pushed for, was that gay scene. And I want to be very clear. There's nothing wrong with being gay or being homosexual. There's nothing wrong with it. But as a female fan who was like, this is my husband, and I was even in a relationship at the time. It's like, you know, your favorite actor, right? You lost me. I can't connect to the show in the same way because that is not something that I would be okay with. Still love Kevin Spacey, who is in real life gay. So it's not about his sexuality. And I'm still cheering for him and rooting him on and rooting for him. But I think that what happened was, I know he had a lot of power, and around the time they were saying that he is running the show into the ground, and they were saying something about the fact that he got the writers to include that scene in the show, and then they were saying that it really had an impact on the show, and I can see why, and I think that's who put the hit on him. And that's what gang stalking is gang stalking is essentially, he's being gang stalked. They're just not calling it gang stalking. And it probably happened from the executives, you know, wherever. And he probably knows who it is. He probably knows who is behind it. Maybe he doesn't, maybe he does. He's had to defend himself. It's costed him a lot. He's been dropped from the show. Allegations came out. He's gone through the entire thing. And in the clip in my shorts, they ask him, so what are you gonna do now? And he says, get back on the horse. And that is my advice to you. You've been gang stalked. You've lost everything. You are a shell of yourself. You're not even the same person that you used to be. You don't know the last time you got to fully relax and enjoy yourself. You don't even remember what that's like. It's time to get back on the horse. It's time to get back on the horse. That's the kind of attitude that you need for this. getting back on the horse. That's how people learn to ride. It's a wild animal, and that's how I ride, so I know. You got to get back on the horse. You might like break something getting thrown off a horse, honestly. You got to heal the injury and then get back on the horse and make friends with it, bond with it so that it doesn't happen again. But you're going to get back to your life, not the old one, the new one that you're going to build. And so my channel has gone from talking about gang stalking, what it is, blah, blah, blah. From my perspective, other people might have other, information. You got to take everything you can, compare everything, use your intuition, decide what you want to take, what you want to throw out, insulate yourself. And we're at the place right now where we're talking about rebuilding. We're focusing on rebuilding. We're focusing on healing. We're focusing on moving forward. We're focused on closing chapters. And, getting back on the horse. That's the message today. Getting back on the horse. Thank you guys who hung in there with me. Please like. I forget to ask people to actually like the lives. Please like the live for me. Leave comments, subscribe to the channel, etc. And check out all the videos that I have. I try to categorize them as much as possible and put them in playlists so that it's simple to find information. Please actually search on the channel for information that you actually want. I try to have it in things like ending gang stalking, or like just titles that would logically make sense. So do search and do try to find things. It's so odd I said like the live and the likes went down. Anyway, thank you guys. Have a great day. Good, bad, cross watching, whatever. And just remember, God loves you.